change it to this. Hello. So this is currently what I've got. What the fuck? Hang on a minute. That was weird. There we go. That looks right. Why? I don't know why left cosine is
Okay,
talking.
I think I got it working.
You did. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
No
So,
problem. All right.
is anyone else joining as well?
We have possibly another streamer joining. I don't know when. Left cosine is going to be against, but looks like he's mainly going to be doing it through text. And obviously wrote down a paragraph for Jenning in the text channel. All right. So I don't think that they're not able to see it anymore. So what it is essentially that I'd like to just I wish that it was easier to just put this on the screen. The thing that lets you put Discord chats onto OBS doesn't let you put very much of it, sadly. All right, so he said specifically that it's uh, removes breed. Essentially, it removes the process of breeding, which makes it more about. It makes it less about random chance, and it's a preference. His main thing seems to be it's a preference between breeding and not needing to breed, and people should respect both ways. But that's not a very strong. You need to put on fucking push to talk. Holy balls.
Okay, so basically I agree with what he said, but then again, well, I think that Jennings is fine because after all, it comes down to skill when you're battling someone, and then like everyone should have the same chance of having equal Pokemon, in my opinion.
The big problem here is that it specifically says well, it's quite okay. So in tournaments, right, in Nintendo hosted tournaments, they're quite obviously trying to prevent people from bringing in hacked Pokemon. That includes PK Hex that are legal Pokemon. Uh, Whether or not it's like just makes it just a time saver or anything like that doesn't matter at that point.
Yeah, that's true, but like, how are they going? Well, I personally don't know how they check in like the actual VGC events because I assume that's what you're talking about.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, well, I remember that in XLY and ORAS they had the Pentagon system, um, but that didn't really stop people from genning, and I believe that at Worlds there were still gen Pokemon brought to the tournament.
But that doesn't make it right or not. The discussion should be about whether or not it's right to do it, not whether or not it's possible to do it, because it's quite obviously possible because it fucking happens. Uh,
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, I just feel like people should have like the choice to do it legally. Like if they want to breathe and if they want to feel, I guess, good about the fact that they got it the legit way, and that's their choice. But if they just want to, if they don't want to spend like let's say a week or so to make a full team, then there should be a way to do it faster.
but like, what if Jenning actually gives you an advantage? Because it does. Like it gives you more than just time, more than just like perfect Pokemon. It also gives you a lot of extra time to practice with them.
Yeah, it actually does, but then again, like some people would want more. Like I see, more time to practice would be a better thing for tournaments than having to spend all your time preparing a team and then not having the time to like practice with it properly. But that might just be like my opinion about that.
But that's the problem. If someone wants to compete in tournaments legitimately, then there's a big problem to them. Their chance of winning is very low comparatively because practice is a lot means a lot in this.
It does, but still, like the people who make the teams legit could also spend their time genning so that they have more free time to practice, while those who are genning their Pokemon might not have like an entire week to make the team legit.
So you're saying that it's likely if you're actually making if you're legitimately breeding the Pokemon, that you have more free time.
Not necessarily, but it could. Well, I mean, you're spending your time differently, which is, in my opinion, like I feel like spending the time practicing would be a better time investment than spending the time breeding. And those who are breeding can actually gen them pretty easily or can get them gen for them. So I don't see why they couldn't or why they wouldn't.
Because in general, it's against the rules. Just so we're clear here for everyone that's watching as well, um, this isn't about whether or not it's easy to do so or whether you should do it. Um, Everyone can. They've added in a hack that makes it super easy to get PK hex. So if you want to do it, there's that now, which is actually pretty cool. Um, and all single player stuff, it doesn't really matter. It's in single player game. It's up to a single player. It's up to the player. Uh, Problem is the impact it has on multiplayer.
Yeah, it does. Well, I mean, we can say that it doesn't give a unfair advantage because it does, and I think everybody knows that. Because, like you said, it does give a lot more time to like practice with the team, try out different things. If you made a mistake, you can easily correct it. But then again, for me, like in the battle, it comes down to skill. Like if both people have even teams, because with breeding, it comes down to a lot of time and a lot of luck as well. So I think that with PK Hex or with power saves, the chance of having equal Pokemon is bigger and would thus make it more equal.
I do think that a Pokemon battles should come more down to skill than it does to RNG, but there's already a very heavy element of luck in Pokemon, like stupidly heavy. It's kind of ridiculous, actually. Um, so I do think that. Oh, thank you for the follow. Who was that? I have to check. Benutrice, thank you. So I think that it is a. The only problem I have with Jenning is one of the problems I have with Jenning, is that it just makes it very hard to like play legitimately, including online, just like anywhere, not just in tournaments, because it's quite obvious you're not supposed to hack online, like whatever. Give me a sec.
Yeah, I do agree with the fact that well, there shouldn't be hacks in the game, but then again, there are hacks and there are ways to get them done like legitimately. And I think that making it so that nobody can gen, I don't think that will be possible. So I think that like it's not a good reason, but it could be a reason for some people to actually gen or power save their Pokemon because they don't want to have like a disadvantage over those who already do it.
Joining in the doing something just because you're the only one not doing it's not a good reason to do it though. Just for anything.
Yeah, I know, and I agree with that. That's why I said that it's not really a good reason. But I mean, you said earlier that it should be about having equal chance in a battle. And if I'm playing, like, let's say yeah, I actually am quite a competitive player, and I play at a decent level, I guess I could say. And then I would like to at least have have equal chances from the get-go. Like, I don't want to be to not have my spread to take on a certain Pokemon. And yeah,
Hang on, there's something going down in the actual chat one. Looks like they've devolved into just arguing about morals in the text chat. I found that funny. All right. So competitively, we've basically come to say that it's not something you should do, but there's not really a way to stop it. So the only way to give yourself an even playing field is to do it yourself. Correct?
Yes, well, that's what it comes down to. Like, I know that it's not a good reason to say like, oh, they're doing it, so I have to do it as well, because so that I can keep up, because otherwise I can't. Like, that's not a good reason, but that's kind of what it does come down to for me.
I am trying to direct it away from morals.
I noticed. It's funny. All right. The problem with hacking is that there's actually more than just the competitive scene that gets affected. Not a lot of people think about it, but all the GTS and Wonder Trade are completely destroyed because of it. If you want to do anything legitimately, there's no way to really know if you have a battle ready Pokemon. Like it's like 9 times out of 10 that it's hacked or duplicated,
Um,
and that's a bit of a problem.
yeah, I do agree, but then again, if you're going to the GTS and you ask for a certain Pokemon, um, you might get a hacked Pokemon like that. Like there's a good chance it will be hacked if it has good moveset, but then again, like what's wrong about that? Like if you don't want that certain Pokemon, you can always put it back up for another one. And if you, well, I mean, if you did want that set or if you did want that Pokemon, you should be happy. You can always breed it afterwards. So
Uh, a view a lot of people have is that breeding from a hacked Pokemon creates a hacked Pokemon. Uh, I kind of don't understand that, uh, but I kind of do as well. It's more of a if you start from hacked, it's a billion times easier to get the Pokemon you want. Like starting from a 0 IV to a 6 IV is extremely time taking compared to starting from 5 or 6, where it would take like 20 to 30 eggs instead of a few hundred.
that's true. But then again, a lot of breeders are asking for 5 or 6 IV Dittos because that would make it more, like that would make it easier. Those Dittos are all hacked. Like there are no 6 IV legitimate Dittos. So why don't people have a problem with those Dittos? Because like they say, yeah, we're not using them. We just use them to breed. But it's just making it like easier. But like the base Pokemon is still hacked. So then all Pokemon that would be bred with a Ditto would still be hacked, right? So
Um, Hang on a sec.
It's a little bit unclear.
It ah, I moved me out of there. Hang on. It's we're talking more about whether the morality of doing it versus not doing it is essentially what it is. So yes, it is a moral discussion. So it is what is right versus what is wrong.
Right.
But it's we're trying to make it objective. Is essentially the point. Is that
Well, if you're
what
making a
I understand
discussion
that
about
morals are
morality,
very
morality is not objective, but
yeah, but you can it's you debate on it. You say try the reason so just so we're clear here for everyone watching, debate is not the point of debate is not to convince the other side that you are right. The point of debate is to find common ground on which both of you can stand. So you try. So the point of it is for both sides to figure out something that both of them agree upon, whether even if it's we can't agree upon anything. In which case you just stop talking to them, pretty much.
yeah, but I mean, like if we purely go off the morality, like if it's okay to gen them, because I think everyone can say that it's against the rules, so it shouldn't happen. But I think, but there's quite a bit more to it, and it's hard to like keep it objective when you're talking about that, because it has so much more to it.
So all I have to say right now is that a lot of it seems to be that it doesn't affect it that much. Uh, there's some things about that. The problem is that you can't stop all of it. This is true no matter what happens. You can't stop all of it. That's just not going to happen. If you have access to physical access to electronic memory, you're able to edit it, no matter what, pretty much. So you cannot stop hacking from happening. So the question is whether or not you should continue doing it. Sans everyone else doing it as well. So we've gone through whether or not it's tournaments should do it, and whether or not and how it affects people outside of tournaments. But fairly large problem is actually just the fight between the two sides. It's just super crazy. It is the large. I can't think of any other game that has a problem this large. There is, like, if you go onto any VGC comment section, there's ridiculous amounts of fighting over whether or not a Pokemon was genned, or whether or not it even mattered. It's ridiculous. It drives the community horribly apart. Like, it's horrifying to see, basically. Like, it's horrible.
Judge, my opponent says making people feel bad is debatably a bad thing. I don't know where to go from here.
What? Oh, okay. That is what he is doing. That's a certain type of basically that is subjective morality. It is a.
I mean, like, where do I go from here?
It is subjective morality has a very very big flaw in it, philosophically speaking, and that is that you can never be wrong in it, and it's obviously morally wrong to eat someone else, right? To kill someone else, everyone can agree upon that.
Unless maybe in certain circumstances, blah 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 blah.
No, yeah, but the thing is
Yeah, I
that
know.
if subjective morality is correct, then you can't be wrong ever with it. That's the problem.
So am I right here?
Yeah, you should not be debating about whether or not subjective morality is true, because it fucking isn't. There's no way.
Could you please say that? You are kind of ruling the whole debate as a whole.
I do think that we're kind of like losing track of like the main subject because.
I mean, I have tried to keep it on track.
Yeah, I know, but like looking at the chat right now, it's not really about like whether hacking Pokemon is okay or not, because
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I count it as a win when I push my opponent into talking about subjective morality, because then they're already.
Yeah, okay, but yeah, we should probably just change it back to like the.
Yeah, this
to the
isn't even the argument I wanted to argue, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
I was intending to talk about how like making a solved game makes it way less fun. So if you take like chess when played with masters and such, that game is
You mean with
like, you know, chess masters, when they play a game where they know all the best moves, the game is way less fun because it's always just a direct response to what my opponent did. Your options get limited.
what do you mean computer? Chess masters can do things like try to fool other people. Computers just kind of go through every combination.
I mean, that's true, but like, basically by restricting everything to the best, you make a game less fun and reduce options.
I'm not sure if that's a good case. but considering what side I'm on, I don't want to argue against it.
Yeah, well, yeah, but then you get like diversification of, the different tiers of Pokemon for at least Pokemon Showdown and stuff. And I was gonna talk about how like generally when you impose limits on whether or not you're using the best possible materials, games get more fun. Um, talk about a whole bunch of things, which would have been a more fun argument, to be honest.
I do have one question though, because, well, first of all, you can't really compare chess to Pokemon because in Pokemon there is a lot of like RNG, crits can happen, freezes, and stuff like that, which is one. But then my question would be like, what do you see as the best? Because do you mean like the best potential for a certain Pokemon, or just the best fitting Pokemon for a role, and then having it like all maxed out?
So so I know I can't compare chess. I would have worked up from a series of comparisons, first to chess, then Monopoly, then a game that I'm actually very familiar with, which is Magic the Gathering, and how I play Magic, which also has a competitive scene and a whole bunch of things like that. Um, and then talk about so using the best Pokemon for a certain role, maxed out, makes the game less fun because it locks off a whole bunch of other Pokemon, and because the stats are always assumed to be the best, um, that's less variance.
That's kind of true, but then again, in BGC, when you're running a rain team, like in the competitive scene, you will usually see a Kingdra, while Golduck actually has the same base speed and base special attack, so it could technically do the same. So running that Pokemon wouldn't be the optimal for that role, but it could definitely work, and it could also be done by one of the top players to still make it interesting. I'm just thinking about like a few years ago when one player brought Pachirisu to a VGC tournament.
Yo, that was funny. It was really fun to watch. Um, just so we're clear here, you can't. It's a hard comparison to make between chess and Pokemon because in chess there is no one uh,
Well,
legitimately perfect move, whereas you can have one legitimately perfect Pokemon that
like I
is
said,
the best in every way.
chess was just a starting point. I was going to get past other games with RNG and into actually very complex games, strategy games, which can have similar problems. Stuff like I mentioned, I mean, Monopoly is also very simple, but it's a step up from chess, and then I would move on to Magic the Gathering, like I said, which is a similarly competitive game, although different in certain ways.
All right. So I just want to go over what everyone has said in terms of well, the topic. So in competitive play, it's hard to stop other people from doing it, and so you should do it yourself simply because uh, you want to have an equal footing. Since you're playing for big tournaments, you're playing for money that is worth a lot of time. That was a lot of your argument, I feel.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Against that is the fact that it's against the rules. You really shouldn't. Um,
Then again,
I
I feel like that argument can basically be said about anything because, well, it is not allowed. So there's not much you can say against that. Like, it's just the fact that it's not allowed, and it won't ever be allowed. So yeah, but
In
still,
my
it's
that's
happening.
true.
in my personal opinion, it's against the rules, and everyone's doing it, or both. They sound really bad arguments just to start with.
You should probably stray away from that argument just because it's a fact.
No, no,
It's
I was
absolutely
just
it's never gonna change. So I don't think I wanna go on the it isn't allowed argument anymore. because it's not particularly useful for debating because it's never going to change ever. Um, hmm. Debate is hard.
I think that another point that we could possibly talk about would be that if you could spend your time preparing for a fight, like wouldn't that make it, I guess, a better like wouldn't that make it a better fight? Because if we all had more time preparing our team for a battle, we should know our team better, we should know our weaknesses better, and thus it should be we could give more from ourselves, and it should be a better battle. And isn't that what it basically like? Isn't that the purpose of it?
That's a pretty good argument. So yeah, the purpose of the of VG of in terms of VGC world, right? Let's stick to that for competitive, because small tournaments are not, if they're not hosted by uh, Nintendo, they tend to actually be like, do you need anything gen, and stuff like that. Um, so obviously when it's strictly allowed, doesn't really matter. It's obviously fine to do so, right? Uh, but for VGC worlds, stuff like that. Wow, I forgot where I was going. Fuck. Oh shit. Fuck. Woo. This is why I should have written down what I was going to say.
Were you going to reply to the fact that like the purpose should be that it's competitive, and that if we have more time
Right.
to prepare our teams and prepare for the battle, that will only um, will only be for the better.
Yeah. Basically, what I was going to say is, if your VGC Worlds is there to show who is the best Pokemon player, basically, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
Uh, Therefore, if I would, I will suggest that breeding is a part of Pokemon. Taking out that part of Pokemon, uh, changes what it means to be the best Pokemon player.
That's quite a hard statement because, like, breeding is part of, well, Pokemon, but does it make you a worse player if you didn't breed them yourself? Because, like, whether or not I bred my Pokemon, if I win, like, let's say a best out of three, or if I win a battle, um, then it shouldn't really matter whether or not my Pokemons are gen or not, because it comes down to skill, basically.
If you're a very skilled breeder, though, it makes genning much faster. People who have to think about what they're doing all the time when they breed do it significantly slower. So the fact that if you're a good breeder, you should have more time to practice also comes into play if you keep it in there, which I think you probably should. So the fact that it changes, it basically takes away an entire part of Pokemon by getting rid of breeding.
That's true, but like you said, being a good breeder, I think that being a good breeder is way less like it's hard to say whether or not you're a good breeder because breeding has a lot to do with luck. Like there are a few rules you can follow, like for like passing down EVs, passing down IVs, EV training them, and passing on nature with like the right items and so on. Like there are basic rules, but being a good battler takes a lot more than, well, a few months. Like being a good breeder should be harder than being a good battler because it has more luck involved. So in my opinion, it's less like it, it doesn't really mean you're a good Pokemon trainer just because you have luck breeding.
But isn't breeding part of being a Pokemon trainer? Because that's the problem, is that you're taking away a whole part of it. I agree that it definitely has a lot more RNG in it than any other part of Pokemon at all.
Okay, yeah. Basically, what you said is true. Like, it is a part of Pokemon, and I think that like for most players, that would be true, and I think that breeding the Pokemon is fine. And well, if you want to do that, you should. And I mean, I'm not telling everyone to go gen your Pokemon, but when you're playing at such a high level, and when there's like a big prize money, then why not try and give yourself an advantage? Like, well, you're not really an advantage, but why not make it easier for yourself? Oh, and I see that they're still arguing about the subjective morality.
I'm trying to get them off of that. It's pretty funny. Obviously is actually how you say his name. Really wants to argue from that stance, but the reason that people don't talk about that stance is because you can't argue about it.
Like I said, I can just say this is subjectively morally wrong to me, and you can't contest that.
Yeah, and it's also the same problem with cultural morality. Is that if cultures are always right, then you can't argue within it, which is a problem. My
But
favorite
then,
one
how
was
do
in
you
the
decide which culture is the right one? You know?
whichever one you're immersed in. Generally, the when in Rome, do as the Romans do.
Yeah, but then that's a whole other mess. Anyway,
It is. Philosophy is hard. That's why we're doing it. I'd like some time to digest what everything has been said. Uh, I think it's fairly interesting. The big thing here is I want to say that I'm arguing against, I actually am totally for. I kind of have to do it myself. I don't have PK Hex though. Uh, but the point is here is that we're trying to find ground that both sides can stand on. That's the point of it. Just want to keep saying this. I say this a lot because new viewers, whatnot. The point of arguing is not to make the other person concede to you. It is to make common ground that both of you can stand on. Uh, it's That's an important part of it. If you can't find common ground, then you find common ground in the fact that you can't, and then you stop talking. That's an argument you can no longer win, or do anything with. It's an argument you can't even have anymore.
well, what you want to do is find common ground that's on your side of the argument, specifically.
That's like a hard debate, and even then, it's generally
Oh, I see.
debates aren't judged in terms of most convincing, because there's always some tilt generally in which way that a prompt is. Like this is considering who we're talking to. This prompt was very much in favor of the foregenning. It's much harder to argue against, especially since like genning happens.
I would basically need some time to like think over everything that has been said just now, and probably could probably like say more about it or give more insight to what I think about this. But I think that another point, like there are a lot of people in the community who gen shiny Pokemon, and they're distributing them to basically like gain attention on like social media. I'm thinking about like YouTube giveaways to get bigger, Instagram giveaways to get followers, stuff like that. Like I know it's not really the topic of the debate, but is that something that we could possibly talk about as well?
It's partially, it's not the question. The topic of the debate was, is it all right to gen Pokemon? It was not, is it all right to gen Pokemon for competitive use? So that is still part of the debate. Yes. Uh, and From my perspective, uh, shinies that are genned mean nothing. So there's not a point to doing it. But there's also not a point to stop them. Besides, the people don't want a hacked Pokemon. and devalues all. Okay, so if you want to go into shiny Pokemon, genning shiny Pokemon devalues what what people who shiny hunt devalues their Pokemon as well. Since if everyone can have one instantly, it doesn't really matter if you go for it. It's all that happens is a sentimental value, and that horribly devalues it when you have to take hours or more, depending on what you're doing, to find one. Like a normal one takes a few hours generally, but if you're going for a shiny legendary, it can take a few days or months. Or in Givmig's case, like 7 years for shiny Litwick because that happened. And I don't think he's gotten one still.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, personally, I'm against genning shiny Pokemon as well, but I just think that we can't say it's not a problem because it's happening a lot, and people still seem like majority of people still want shiny Pokemon, whether or not they're like hacked. And they actually like, I see people being really happy about like a shiny Pokemon they got, and they're like trying to. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with them being proud of it, but it's yeah, it's just not the same. And then, like you said, it's not really fair, I guess you could say, to those who are shiny hunting for their Pokemon. So yeah, I don't know. It's quite hard to like make up an argument, like to say something about what could be for genning like shiny Pokemon, because I honestly can't think of any reason why you would. But yeah.
Sorry, I'm reading the text chat and it's going crazy.
This is aggravating.
You can't argue with people who do this. At least he's not sea lining.
Yeah, it's still like about the same thing. Like I'm not even keeping track.
Wait,
of the
did he
chat
just
right
say
now.
what is a person?
Yeah, he
No,
did.
Is
he
that
said
something
what
he
is
said?
he said is what is people.
Yeah, and then like about the world thing. Yeah, I read it.
Okay.
I said
I was
making
gonna say.
I said like skipping over an artist's work and making them might make them feel bad, which is something people generally think is wrong. And then he said define people and define wrong.
How do you?
That's a sub generalization. I made it shorter.
He's being very technical about all of this. It's what you should do in this case is say an argument and have him not try to have problems with the technicalities of your argument, but actually refute it. And what he's saying is that he can't do it without a. Where's the argument part in this? What was your point in?
I was saying that skipping over breeding is jumping over the work of people who actually programmed breeding, and as such might make them feel bad, or it kind of is disrespectful because it ignores or jumps over their work.
That's an interesting point. The fact that they obviously want it to be a part of the game, considering they programmed it in. If they didn't want to, it would be very easy to program a way to just say, press button, get Pokemon. So the fact that you skip over it, you're skipping over part of the game that you could be enjoying.
And you're not playing the game as intended.
Yeah, but I don't have much to say about that. Speed running.
Yeah, true.
I really wish that someone who truly believed in anti-genning was here. So because they would have better arguments than I do.
I mean, this is
that most people on Twitch are for genning, because most people on Twitch do genning. So I wish someone in the chat was against it so they could come in and talk and not be assholes, hopefully.
what do I do here?
isn't something that can be really defined. If you want, I can just I don't even have my philosophy book right now, so I can't do it that way either. The way we should do it is if it should be done, as in if everyone should accept it, if everyone should do it essentially. There's I forgot what it's called, but if everyone can do it and you're okay with it being done to you, then it is it is morally right. Is one of the ways of doing it. It's a very flawed version of morality because of fanatics. The thought experiment given was
And also people are just apathetic.
Yeah. Man. He wants a definition. I'm tempted to give him a really funny one. Because the way he's arguing, he's just making it so you can't argue. That's the problem, is that he's not arguing against you, he's arguing against your ability to argue.
Yep.
I think.
I just think that the chat is quite funny right now, but it's not leading anywhere, and it's just, I mean, I just don't
Like,
see the
it's
point anymore.
interesting.
But yeah,
It's interesting. But
Like,
it's
I
not
really want to
useful.
actually talk about the topic, or I'd be willing to, but he doesn't want to.
Yeah, it feels bad, man. I had wished that the other streamer that was going to come here and talk came, but you know.
when would he normally join us?
What the heck? Oh! What the heck? Why does it take the exclamation point as part of the link? Good to know that it does that. Sorry about that. We had some problems with Discord links in announcements. Excuse me. I'm just happy I got a follower through this, because that means that the dude slash girl slash woman slash whatever is interested in debate, which is awesome. Interested in actually solving this, which is a big problem in the Pokemon community. I'd like to stop with debating and get more to actual just discussion.
I'm really sorry that this ended up happening. I don't know what to do.
In general, when someone takes a very soft stance like he did in the very beginning, that tends to happen. Because it's very hard to defend yourself when you're like, I'm okay with it, but I see both ways.
Well, no,
'Cause then
I think
it's people get very they don't want to change.
I guess, but
Point of this is that point of this is just make him see both sides. It's not just to make him go to like, fuck people who gen, that's not the point of this.
I mean, to be honest, I haven't really talked to anyone who is anti-genning before, so
I have on YouTube comments, but that's not the best place for this.
I'm not a
you
big
know-
Pokemon person.
Yeah. The big thing that was happening was that people, specifically Wolf Glick, who was, I believe, last year's world champion, was known to cheat in Pokemon beforehand, so people were very mad at two things. One was that his strategy, but he abused a strategy, so he won. But they could have changed the rules at any point, and they did change it to avoid that now. So that's a thing. But there are a lot of comments are like, "Hey, let's see who the best PK hexer is," and it's kind of ridiculous, and that's pretty much the biggest problem.
Yeah, there's definitely like a big, well, it's a really big argument, and there are a lot of people against, and there are a lot of people for it, and it's, like you said, it would be useful to have someone who's like against, like really against joining to join us, but I don't think we have anyone who is like honestly against it.
I'm advertising
Yeah.
with some people who are friends of mine and who actually care about Pokemon.
All right. The big thing beforehand was that before you had to have at least one hard modded console to get PK Hex, and that made it very restrictive on who could get it. And that's a problem in more ways than it is now with a hack that uses the media player in the DS to get homebrew, which means that you can, and then you can get off of that, you can get the PK hex, right? So you're able to get it with via pure soft modding now, which is pretty big. And so the availability is now no longer a problem. People who want to do it can now do it. It does not take really any skill to get it anymore, and you can't really, unless you do something horribly wrong, you can't hard brick or soft brick your console.
Yes, but then again, there were also like a lot of other ways to do it. Like you could do it with the Ocarina of Time hack. You could use Cubic Ninja. You could use.
The problem was downgrading your system.
Not really, because some, like if you had power saves and you had Ocarina of Time, you could still do it on the latest firmware. There were a lot of problems that you needed to downgrade your system.
But that requires you to buy a new system, and I don't believe that worked with new 3DS.
Yeah, I have an old 3DS, so I can't really say if it works on a new 3DS, but let's just say it doesn't. There were still a lot of ways to get, like if you really wanted to hack your Pokemon, there were ways to do it, and right now it's just easier. But then again, doesn't that make it like equal? Like because those
Yeah,
people.
that's the thing. Is I'm kind of like not really doing as much debate as much as discussion right now. I think that the availability of hacking has come to the point where literally anyone can do it, uh, and it makes it much more acceptable because the only reason not to do it now is that you want to do it legitimately. Whereas before, you might not have been able to do it. It might have cost you like $40 to $60 because you needed a game, or plus because of power save. Um, there's a fairly large cost tied to it, and the fact that if you want to do it through, hang on, hang on just a second. Uh, if you wanted to do like on the new 3DS, you had to have a hard modded console, and you either pay someone a fairly large chunk of money to do it, as in because the other hard mod that people get is streaming, and that's $300, which is crazy. Uh, so you need a hard modded console, and that costs very high. So there's a lot of availability issues, and I think that it is not as okay in that case, but it is much more acceptable now.
That's true, but then again, we already know that they will like come up with an update, and that like I know it's not really fair to say, but 80% of the people who have homebrew now won't be able to. They will just update their console without thinking about it. They won't know, like they haven't followed like they haven't followed the evolution of like the ways of getting homebrew on your system, so they won't be able to gen pretty soon, I guess, and then it
True.
becomes a problem
Hmm.
again.
They didn't fix it on the Wii.
The Wii is like a
Thank you
really
for
outdated
thank you for the follow
system
smasher.
though. Like, I mean, it just didn't get
You know,
updated anymore. Like, I believe that was the
no, they
problem.
even during its life cycle, there was a lot of hacks that took abuse of there was one that took abuse of Ocarina of Time again. I think it's fucking weird. There was some Fire Emblem game that did let you. Uh, the most recent thing that they've done is you literally just put in an SD card and it gives you a mail bomb, and you click on the mail, and then it installs Homebrew, and like it's literally that easy. Um, and uh, that game was during the Wii's that came out during the Wii's life cycle, so there was still an update afterwards, and it didn't fix it.
I mean, there's always like the chance that they won't fix it, but I feel like after being read that Nintendo is now paying a group of people to like report hacks or ways of hacking the console so that they can fix it so that it doesn't get to the public. I think that they will do everything they can to at least, well, make sure this isn't possible in the next firmware.
It is very true that Nintendo is now going more for competitive scenes. Splatoon, Pokemon, all of those have much bigger competitive scenes than they used to. It is very likely that they are trying to make themselves a competitive gaming company now. Pokken, all of that, and it is also they don't want to have uh, hacks anymore. I can see that because before they were more of a casual gaming, and like if you hack, oh no, they hacked, ah. But when you get to the point where you're fighting for a large sum of money, hacking becomes an issue.
That's true, and I think that that's why they will try and fix it. But then again, like there will always be ways to get homebrew in your system, or there will always be ways to gen Pokemon if that's what it comes down to. And I think that we can't deny that. But a really big amount, like majority of people will upgrade their system or they will do whatever so that they can't gen anymore, and then there will only be people who have followed it and know something about Nintendo or about the firmware will be able to gen then, and then it becomes a problem again because it's like limited, and then people will have an advantage.
Well, we can't say for no we know the future, but that would be a problem again. Yes.
Yeah, I know it's just like speculation, but yeah, like that's what I think is going to happen. Like I can't say for sure it's going to happen. I think nobody can, but I think it's something that we need to keep into account.
And on top of that, like there's ways to make it so that even if you update your 3DS, you won't lose your hacks or anything like that.
Yeah, that
The problem is that a lot of people that hack aren't necessarily that in the know. Like they were told, oh, you can do this, look it up online, and stuff like that. So they don't know a lot about how it gets deleted or and stuff like that. Um, so that's not necessarily gonna happen. Though most people that are like that aren't the most uh, into competitive. People who really are like competing for money will generally know that, and they generally also have friends who have it. Uh, there's quite a few people who are like, I don't gen, I just ask other people for gen Pokemon, and I'm like, that's the same as
Yeah.
genning it yourself, but that's just
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say with the fact that a lot of people will just update their system and they won't be able to do it again, and then it will become a problem again. So, yeah, and I don't think there's any way we can stop that from happening because we can't change people.
big problem is also not that there's actually a market for cheating. Like that's a huge problem in itself. The fact that power save is a very large
Yeah.
It's a very large problem. The fact that if there's a market for it, then getting rid of it is a much bigger deal. Because it affects much more than just your company at that point.
Yeah, that also brings me to like something that I'm quite unsure about myself. Like power saves, are they actually allowed? Well, I mean, they're obviously allowed because they're being sold in like in pretty much every store in Belgium. So um, then again, cheating is not allowed by Nintendo. So how does that work? Like I just don't know about I just don't know that much about that subject. So
Part of it is that once you buy the game, it is your property. You are able to do the date with whatever you want with the data. The problem is playing online with it. That is where it goes into Nintendo's territory. So they can't prevent you from buying it because it is your data that you are altering. Um,
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
the other, no problem. The other thing is that hang on, I really should be writing stuff down when I think of it. The other problem is that you can't really stop power saves from working. Not easily. The way that you'd have to do that is that you have to have some data on the console itself. The way that power saves work is that it alters the data on the card via a third party read write for 3DS cartridges. And as long as you have access to your cartridges, which will be always, uh, then you're able to alter the data. And even if they find a way to, the easiest way is to make it partially on your console, because then even if you alter the the cartridge, then you're not altering enough data, and you can just ruin it. The problem is that you also have access to your console. There's stuff like with computers. As long as you have physical access to your computer, you can do whatever you want with it as long as you know how. Uh, Stuff like that. So you can't prevent hacking. That's not a thing. As long as the person that buys it actually owns it and that they have physical access to it.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But I think that we're kind of like making it a little bit too technical and that we're not really staying on the main subject. Like, don't get me wrong, because I think it's really interesting, but I just don't think that that everyone in the stream can like follow on what we're saying.
This is true. All right. So is it right to do so? I think that the only reason that it is allowed now, that most people think it's okay, is because everyone else does it, and that's a problem in more ways than one. Oh, that's moving. Hang on.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, we're good.
Even if people decide it's wrong, like people are still gonna do it because other people do it.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is that it because it evens the playing field. That's really all it's doing at this point. It's gonna keep happening, which is a fairly large problem in a lot of ways, because cheating should not be allowed because everyone else does it. That's stupid. That's not a good reasoning for anything ever. Just because everyone else does it doesn't mean that you should do it. You know.
yeah, yeah, that's true. But I mean, I think like we can't change that people that like we can't change everyone's mentality, and I think that's also like a big problem because people just want like a cheap excuse, I guess you could say, for doing it, and I think that's the easiest answer.
Well, sorry, the button I'm using for my push to talk is on my mouse, not on my mouse. So what? So one of the people who was going to debate, uh, DJ Sorosu, uh, said specifically that it also, or said that one of his points that he was going to make was that it also invalidates a lot of the winning part of it, because your wins mean a lot less when you cheat. It's like if you go into the god mode in any game and you win the game, doesn't matter. It's not an accomplishment.
Well, I think it's actually about like the breeding part of it. So like people like doing breeding because it like gives you a more sense of accomplishment when you're battling and you win. But actually, like people
That's
like
why I do
still gen
it.
and still feel happy when they win. Like I still feel happy when I win because it's a lot about skill too, not just the breeding part of it.
Yeah.
Honestly, breeding has very little skill and it's like 90% RNG. But it's still a part that brings you a lot closer. It's probably the part that makes you the most close to your Pokemon,
That is true.
because it's the most time taking, and it's something where you can't be really thinking of other things. It's like you get the Pokemon you want, you're like yes, and then So uh, it's part of what Pokemon is about, is being close to it. So I can see why people shouldn't do it.
I can also see why people say that. I do understand how people say that it feels better to win with bred Pokemon than with Gen Pokemon. Personally, I don't feel it. Like if I win with Gen Pokemon, I'm still like excited. I'm still happy if I beat someone who's decent or like decently good.
Yeah.
And to me, that doesn't change whether or not I guess you could say cheated my Pokemon. Like, but yeah, that's quite a hard. That's quite hard for me because I don't see it. But I guess some people do.
And also, there's like some people feel that they get too bored by battling with the same team because like it's really hard to breed a team, so you kind of have to like battle it with it for a long time. And a lot of people don't like that and would rather have like different teams every time, or something like that, which would be easier with Jenning.
That's definitely
There.
true. And I guess that like if anyone who plays like Battlespot singles, which is on the 3DS, um, the meta changes like constantly. There are a lot of new things being like, especially early on when a game is released, the meta still changes like every week, every 2 weeks or so. And making a serious team testing it out, that also takes a lot of time. So I think gelling them is just, I guess, makes it more competitive in that way because you have more, like it doesn't take as long to try to make one single team, and then you're not even sure that it's going to work by the time you have it.
Yeah, the meta changes is a big problem. Yeah.
But you also have Pokemon Showdown for the meta. That's I don't think I think that more people that play on actual Battle Spot don't change their teams nearly as much for meta reasons as those on Pokemon Showdown. I think that an easier way to find out the meta is to play on Showdown and then find a
Yeah.
good
So
team and then make it one that is strong enough to just go
what
and be
Ghost was
consistent.
saying what Ghost was saying is that since the meta changes so much, so let's say like you test a team on Showdown, and then you take 2 weeks to breed it on your cartridge, and then the meta's already changed, and then your team basically doesn't like work as good anymore. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Well, that's another reason that there shouldn't. It really shouldn't. I mean, I understand why that makes you want to do it more, but that also just gives more of a very uh, very large advantage uh, to people who do hack over those who can't. Though that is currently very small amount of people, it is still an amount of people.
Yeah, that is actually true because like if everyone read on cartridge, then the meta wouldn't change on cartridge, but it would change on Showdown. That makes sense.
Yes, but then again, there will always be people who have access to these things and can always gen, and like the amount of people
Yeah.
who can't right now is like really small, and those who can like, I might be wrong, but those who can like probably don't have a PC, and I think that most people who play on a competitive level do have or own a PC or can use one. So if that makes sense, like if they want to get it and they are really serious about it, there will be a way to get them.
This is true. The big problem is just the fact that everyone's doing it. It's one of the biggest problems right now.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
pretty crazy.
Yeah, like you said earlier, it's probably like the biggest problem that a Nintendo game has. Like there are like I can't think of any other game that has like the same like a problem this size.
I don't think there's another game where cheating is. Hang on a sec. Be right back. Something's happening.
Okay, well, the thing is, like, I think would everybody be okay if like no one hacked at all in cartridge, like as like a hypothetical situation?
I think like probably, but then again, I don't see that
It's not,
happening.
yeah, it's not going to happen. But
I'm back. My mom was putting
if
chairs
it did
back,
happen,
basically.
then
So
everybody
that
would be
the
happy with that, though, right?
guests over last night.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody would be okay with
Yeah.
that. Yeah. But, yeah,
I pressed
like that's a really tough one because I don't see it happening and it's not going to. But yeah, if it was possible, then yes, there wouldn't be a problem, and then we wouldn't be having this like debate.
What the fuck? Hang on. I think my fun. My Twitch chat just my Twitch screen died.
Rip.
Oh, someone else wants to join. That's awkward. Like right when it went down for me.
Yeah, like I have it open on my phone right now, and it hasn't gone down for me.
No, the window closed for some reason.
Okay, yeah.
All right, I'm back. Mostly. There we go. All right. I was gone for a little bit. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
What I was going to say before was there's no really other game that cheating is such an allowed part of the game. Where like cheating is just allowed in Pokemon for no good reason besides everyone else is doing it. And there's no other multiplayer game at all that is like, sure, go ahead and hack. Besides, like, maybe Dark Souls. But even then, it's not really that allowed.
I might like misunderstand you there, but from what I
Minecraft.
can tell, it's not really allowed to hack Pokemon. And
The community completely accepts it, is what I mean. And Minecraft isn't really competitive. It's a sandbox game anyway.
well,
PvP.
first of all, there are like PvP games in Minecraft. That's one thing. The other thing is that I think that there is a big part of the community that accepts tuning in. I think yeah, we're all part of that part, but there's also like quite a big group of people who think that it's not okay. Like I don't like using a certain person as an example, but I think that Verdisify is quite a big like I think he's known for being against hacking, and a lot of his followers, which is quite a big group, agrees with him.
If we're going to talk about people, I have a fairly large problem with specifically Relicify because he tends to be very divisive. Uh, and he's one of the reasons that there's such a big divide between people that are okay with it and people that aren't.
Yeah, I agree, and that's
But
also part of the reason why I actually said his name, because I think that you said that it's commonly accepted, like that we accept Jennings, but then when you look at like his following base, which is quite big, they don't accept it, and I mean, yeah, they're also like part of the community.
I do not think that it should be accepted the way it is. I think that that personal breeding and breeding for, or sorry, personal genning and genning for tournaments that are like personal tournaments, you know, small ones or ones where it's explicitly allowed. All that's completely fine. I don't think anyone really has a argument against that. Besides, maybe the trading gets fucked up, but uh, that's not really a strong argument because no one like
You can just
uses
ask for
that for
proof.
competitive anyway.
You can just ask
Like,
for proof
I don't
for
know,
trading and stuff.
you know, like the reason why people, the only like problem is that idiots, because you're able to hack in legendaries, GTS is just like impossible to get any Pokemon now because they're all like, I want an RCS for this level 3 Magikarp,
Same.
and it's stupid.
Yeah, but that has always been a problem, and I don't think that will change. Like there will always be people asking like these insane requests.
At
Yeah,
this point,
I think Amethyst is trying to say like the hacking shouldn't be allowed in the sense that it shouldn't be allowed for the like the big tournaments, the ones that actually go for like money and stuff, the actual ones.
yeah, ones that have large amounts of like actual money going around is a big problem when that starts getting hacked. Like there, if any MOBA, you hack at all in a tournament, you're just banned immediately. There was a in Dota there was a team called Roxkiss that bet against themselves and threw the game, and they were banned for life from that tournament. And it was a very large tournament. It was hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
And there's no reason why people should be allowed to hack in tournaments for $50,000 because it's still a very large amount. That's the grand prize for first place world. I believe is $25,000 or $50,000. I do not remember which, but that is a very large amount.
it definitely is, but like it's not really allowed in Pokemon. And when you look at a game like CS:GO, because in MOBAs it's just insane. Like I don't see how you could hack in, well, in MOBA except for like scripting maybe, but um, in CS:GO, of course, like the people who are caught cheating, they're also being banned immediately and they can't participate again. But like there have been cases of people getting banned, like they have been playing for 2 years like competitively and they just got caught and they just got caught cheating. So yeah, I think that's another example game where it happens.
Oh, also like for like MOBAs and stuff and like CS:GO, the thing is that hacks are like actually detectable, whereas in like Pokemon, if you hack in a legal mon, there's pretty much no way to actually like detect that it's hacked or not.
Yeah, that's one of the things that some people joke about in the comment section for people that are against are like, you know what you can do? You can give yourself all perfect stats and just give yourself a slight bit of XP, and they'll never know. And it's completely true. If you actually want a 6 IV, like a perfect Pokemon, like five, like if you're a special attacker, a 5 IV plus 0 attack, right? You can do that. It takes like 100 plus eggs, uh, but like it's not the most insane thing to do. And
1 out of
so
31
then
chance. Yeah.
if you level it up legitimately, it won't be perfectly level 50. So it's impossible to really tell. It's just the likelihood of it being hacked is higher.
Or yeah, you can just like gin in an egg and then actually hatch it and then it look like completely legit.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But also, it's extremely hard to hack besides scripting in a peer to server uh, game, which is like all MOBAs and stuff like that. Whereas Pokemon is a peer to peer game, and it's much easier to hack in those.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's always like you said, you can't know if Pokemon is like legit or not. Like you can assume that it's hacked, but if you have like let's say a shiny legendary with like zero attack and the rest all max IVs, like you're pretty sure it's hacked, but from what I know, it
Well,
can be
actually,
legit as well. Like
My friend once got a 6 IV, legitimately reset thousands of times to get a 6 IV Arceus with the correct nature. So it's not necessarily true that it is that it's
uh,
hacked.
yeah,
That's the problem.
yeah, that's what I
there's
was saying. Like you can't know for sure that it's hacked. Like you can't say that it's hacked because there's always this slight chance that it's legit. But yeah, yeah, that was basically the point that I was making. Like there's always a possibility of getting a legit way. So yeah,
and also there's actually, I don't know if this works or not, but on PK Hex there's a function where if you load in a save, and there's a function where you can click verify checksums, and then it'll check if all like the data like bytes are legit or not, or if it's been edited. I don't know if it works because I haven't tried it, but
I could send you a. I have power saves. I don't have PK hex. I will likely get PK hex sometime later this year. Because why not? That's the way I see it. Even if I just use it to for duping Pokemon or whatever. Or if my friend really wants uh two certain Pokemon to start his journey in Sun or he's in Moon, because it's just his thing. But they're not gettable right now, So that would be a reason to like that stuff like that. I'm completely okay with that hacking, by the way. Like absolutely no problem. He's just like, I want to have these two Pokemon for my journey.
but then is that fine because hacking Pokemon is still against the rules? And I mean, like I know we wouldn't bring this up again, but then it's still hacking a Pokemon, and I think that well, you're still hacking Pokemon. You're not using it online, like that's true, but still you're doing something wrong. Like if we're about the fact that is it morally okay to hack a Pokemon, and it's not. Well, I mean, people who are against it say it's not. So
that's true. You can't. Uh, what he's saying is that you can't pick and choose like in which like specific area it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to hack, but which one it's not.
I mean, the problem with that is that in some cases it is morally okay. I think it's morally okay to hack whatever single player game you want. I don't give a crap. It's not affecting anyone else in the slightest. The only problem is when you're an idiot and go bragging to your friends, which is honestly really funny because it's easy to tell when you hack. That type of stuff. Or like people, the funny part is when people you go to like in X and Y and right and the passerby stupid crap that happened. Uh, where a lot of these people just spam trade requests and you accept one of them and they just show you shinies and they show you a shiny Zygarde and you're like, nice hacks, okay. Literally no other way to get that. Good job. And it's kind of funny.
yeah, I never understood those people to be honest, but yeah, it
Hey
happens.
guys, look how much I hacked. Yeah, so that type of thing is just showing your friends. It's stupid, but that's getting off topic. I think it's morally okay to hack whatever single player game you want. I think unless both sides agree upon it, you should not hack in a multiplayer game, no matter what it is. Um, I currently use Dittos. I partially because I just enjoy making Pokemon and seeing other people use them, and it doesn't matter to me if I make it via hacks. They don't Pokemon don't matter to me. So that's what I currently do. I use 6IV Ditto because if there was Friend Safari, I'd make them completely legit like I did in X and Y. But there isn't.
It's like 1 out of 961 chance to get a 6 IP Ditto legit in Sun and Moon.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
I didn't even know it was like possible to get a 6 IV Ditto because like I knew about the new way of encountering Pokemons, but like I heard that the highest you could get was like a 4 IV, 5
Yeah,
IV one.
yeah,
No,
exactly.
it's 4 IV or four. The highest you can get is 4 guaranteed IVs, where you have no matter what 4 of them are 31. Uh, but you can still randomly get another two 31s.
Yeah,
It's just that
the-
it's 31 squared chance.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. Like, yeah. Okay.
It's just extremely rare. What a lot of people do who breed it legitimately is that they do they SOS chain to get guaranteed 4 IV and hope that it's a 5 IV, and you get two 5 IV dittos, and it takes a few like 100 eggs more generally, stuff like that, something like that, but you get it a lot. You still get it fairly fast. It's actually not even 100.
And
It'd be
also,
like 50.
if you have two 5 IV dittos and one of them is like minus attack and the other is minus special attack, most of the time the Pokemon doesn't need an attack or a special attack, so it's technically 6 IV for that Pokemon because you don't need the sixth
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, that's true. But then again, the chance of getting like two 5 IV deals, one missing attack and one missing special attack is really small. So, like, I'm not saying it's impossible, but just like being lucky that you get two 5 IV dittos with just missing those IVs, like the chance of that, like I think the chance of getting a 6 IV ditto will be bigger. I don't know.
It's 1 out of 31 to get a 5 IV.
Correct. Because it's 31. So you have 4 IV, and then you have two chances for getting 31. And you just need 1 out of 31 on either of them. So it's actually more than a 1 in 31 chance.
Oh wait, it's 1 out of
It's 2
32
and
because
31.
0 and 31.
Right, yeah. It's actually 1 out of 16, I think, because you have two chances.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not the most insane to get two 5 IDV dittos or just one 5 IDV ditto and breed. So it's completely doable. The problem is that a lot of people don't care. And the culture for Pokemon is such that it is culturally accepted when people cheat, which is a problem in general. For anything, really. I feel like cheating is fine between friends. It's just it's not fun when you go on when you know you can't really play online unless you have perfect Pokemon. Like that's not fun knowing that you actually have to breed or you don't stand that much of a chance because the difference between a 0 IV Pokemon and a 5 IV Pokemon is very large. Between like a decent 10 IVs in each stat to 31 is huge. It's enormous.
That's true. Yeah. But I mean, it's not impossible to win a game like with a Pokemon that's not perfect. Like there's RNG, you can outplay your opponent. I'm not saying I'm like you obviously have a disadvantage, but it's not impossible to win, and it's not impossible to play and have fun with these Pokemon. If that's like your intention to have fun while playing, then you can go ahead and like use a 3 IV, yeah, Nihilego or something, and then we'll probably do fine. Like as long as you're having fun, right?
Well, I mean, for Nihiligo is generally a support Pokemon anyway. So you only need like defensives, HP, and speed, and then you're fine because you don't ever attack ever with that thing.
Yeah, I know.
Like
Well,
maybe like it even it's really funny. If you it's slower than Ninetales, and Ninetales gets a Roar Veil up, and you still don't one shot it. Even with stab poison moves.
yeah, like the set. Well, I mean, like, I'll just say this real quick. The set I generally run is like Focus Sash, Stealth Rods, which, to be honest, like it's not an offensive set, but it does get one attack off usually, and it would be nice to have like you need two perfect IVs for it to work. And like I would say you need speed and probably special attack, but other than that, it doesn't matter. So that was probably like a bad example, but yeah, like you get the point. You can still have fun while using Pokemon that aren't really perfect because there are other ways of winning than just having a perfect Pokemon.
Wait, how did we learn that Destiny not would inherit IVs?
Very, very likely people did data mining in X and Y because that's when it was added to do 5 IVs. Before that, when Destiny was added, it was 3 IVs that was carried over, and I don't remember when it was added. It was very likely data mining.
Uh, X. It started XY. Destiny not. I'm pretty sure.
No, before that, Destiny not only guaranteed 3 IVs. Starting in X and Y, it guaranteed 5, which made it actually
Okay.
useful.
I see.
Because before then, it's like you still make like hundreds upon hundreds of eggs for that perfect Pokemon, and in that case, I think, fuck breeding. I'm not gonna take days upon like weeks to fucking make one Pokemon. It's not fun. So we have a person in Twitch chat saying that if something can be obtained via hacking, like a move you can no longer get due to a generation or event or something, that's wrong. I'm not sure about that one. The one that comes to mind the most with that specifically is Dragonite Extreme Speed. It's very core on that Pokemon, and it's only obtainable by event, but then can after that be bred down. What do you guys think of that specifically?
Oh, so events obtained via like power stages, like the event flags and stuff.
No, there's a specific. So Dragonite learns Extreme Speed, right?
Yeah.
It's actually that move can actually only be learned through an event. There was a Dragonite that was given Extreme Speed during an event, but all Dragonites can learn it once it is bred down. It is an egg move, but it can only be learned on the Pokemon at first through that event. So the only ways to get it legitimately is to get someone that actually has that event to breed it down and give you one.
Yeah.
Most people just hack it. I'm not sure about that one because it's so core on the Pokemon that it is impossible. If that's what you mean, if you mean, looks like he was, oh no, that's Ghost to Hunt. I think that's fine because it's, as long as it's obtainable in the game, then it's like, it lowers significantly the power of Pokemon, if you can't, but I do see why you wouldn't want to. Hacking in random event Pokemon is kind of annoying because it makes the event not mean anything.
Yeah, I also think that I might have not understood, I might have understood him wrong, because I thought he was saying that you can't, that it's not allowed to gen like a Pokemon. Like the example I gave was Metagross with Ice Punch, like it was a move that you could only get
That
in
was
like
that was Ghost to Hunt.
yeah,
That was you.
yeah, I know. Like that
Yeah,
was the example.
yeah, it's obvious that yes, it's possible to hack illegal moves, uh, but that's generally not what we're talking about. I believe most people find people who use Magikarp with fucking like sheer cold or like with Wonder Guard and stuff like that shit. And I don't think anyone finds that okay. Out of us, really. The only thing that when I looked it up on Bulbapedia, I saw that it was said like through event only. I got one because a friend hacked in Extreme Speed onto a Dratini and gave me it for me to breed for them essentially, and so I have them off of that. So mine are totally hacked, but I mean, you basically need Extreme Speed.
I'm
And you
just
can't find like if you have illegal moves on a mon, you can't play it online. So like
That's not necessarily true. There have been people shown to be able to, at least in X and Y and ORAS. They might have
well
updated
those
it.
it's probably like due to like extensive because I'm pretty sure like there's the server like checks for those hacks for
The
illegal
thing
money?
is that I don't think that it's peer to server. I don't believe Pokemon is peer to server. I believe it's peer to peer. So once you get it past the initial checks, you can do whatever you want.
I think,
Well, if you get
yeah,
it past the initial check, then how are you supposed to do anything? Because when you
It's
connect
true.
online,
I don't know. Yeah, it's
yeah,
probably not through just normal hacking. It's probably through something extra. But
they're
I don't
able
know.
to access it through a server or something. I don't know. MLG hackers can hack the mainframe or something.
yeah, but like the thing is, if I understood him right, it's not possible to get, like, I can gen in
Oh,
the
huh.
server with Intimidate right now. I can't gen a Pangoro with Ice Punch or Stomach Punch right now because,
Yeah, if
and
it's
I
not
can't.
possible to get
Well,
normally, then you can't gen it in.
yeah, well, I mean, I can gen it in, but I just can't use it. And
Yeah,
when
you can't use it.
yeah, when I try to connect, it just gives me an error. So in that sense, it doesn't really work. But I might have just like understood it wrong. I don't know.
If it's impossible to obtain, then you can't use it online.
If it's impossible to obtain, that's he's if it's impossible to obtain, then it's you're talking more about like so something I wanted to define at the beginning, but we didn't actually have a reason to, so I didn't. Is there's an easy way to define different types of Pokemon. There are three big categories. There is legitimate, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's you bred it. It's completely fine. There's nothing hacked
Yeah,
about it at all. There's legal, which means that it might be hacked, but it is possible to get in the game. So what like stuff that most people gen, right? And there's flat hacked, where it's stuff like Magikarp with, you know, sheer cold or sturdy Shedinja, Hackmons, shit like that.
Well,
And in general, I do not believe that flat hacked Pokemon are any fun to play against unless both players agree, in which case it's fucking hilarious. Uh, One of the best
um,
things on
just
Showdown is the Hackmons Cup because that shit is hilarious.
10 out of 10. I would love that one. No,
It's just yeah, just like I have this Pokemon.
you can put no
It has
crystal
Wonder
Z
Guard.
moves
I
on.
guess I win now. Yeah, the random it's all random Pokemon with random moves and random abilities and random items. A lot of the times the items do literally nothing.
Adamant Orb
Adamant or yeah, or like I got a bunch of berries that literally say does nothing, cannot be eaten. I'm
has
like,
no
thanks game.
competitive use.
Yeah,
Then you get like a Great Ball or something.
dude, I got a Pokemon that knew Evo boost, and I was like, yes.
Yeah, you can get like the list Z move stuff.
But most of the moves are absolutely useless though. All right, moving on. Legal Pokemon, uh, I do not believe should be used in VGC. That's actually an opinion that has changed from of mine throughout the this discussion. Uh, I'm not like hard stance on. I don't think people should be going after anyone because they are, but I believe it is wrong to use a hacked Pokemon in a large money tournament. Uh, because it's not fair that other people should be cheated out of that much money and that much time. Because to get to like if you got to Worlds through a actually if you got to Worlds without a hacked team, then you're probably fine. But it's hard to do that, and I think that that should not be the case. For small tournaments, I think it's less of a problem. For just like, and then a lot of tournaments are fine with hacking beyond Nintendo's, but I
Smogon.
don't. I think it is a problem. Yeah, like most Smogon tournament people that run Smogon tournaments are like, "Do you need a Pokemon Gen?"
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
pretty much.
Except like
Um,
official Smogon tours, it's yeah.
yeah, well, in general, like, if nobody in at Worlds would cheat a Pokemon, then I would be fine with that. I could follow your opinion, but right now it's just that There will
impossible.
always be people
Yeah.
who use hacked Pokemon, whether or not they know that they're hacked. Like they ask a friend to get a Pokemon, a friend hacked it in or something like that. Like that could happen, but there's always a chance, and there will always be hacked Pokemon at Worlds. So if as long as they're
Yeah.
not, as long as they're not a way to change that, then I think that's quite hard. Like you can say that I don't want hacked Pokemon and I won't use them.
Nintendo get more hack checks.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that what basically what Ghost Trunt is the big thing that he's saying is that as long as there are hackers, you want to win you want to win however much money. I'm gonna check. I think it's $25,000. World VGC prizes.
I think it is possible for hacks to be like not allowed through like an extensive hack check.
It is $25,000. Yeah, so if when you're playing for that much money in someone else's hacking, you're gonna fucking hack. You don't want to lose out on, like, I think it's half the prize pool. Yeah, you lose out on $10,000 from first place to second place. You're not gonna want to lose that money just because you didn't hack legal Pokemon and they did. Like that's not gonna be a thing that people are gonna want to do. So it's gonna happen.
Then again, like I feel that at Worlds it's actually possible to play without hacks because you can only register one team, if I'm correct. And if you can only use one team, you can test it out on Showdown before you build it. Like Worlds is also like a while after the game's released, so the meta has already developed a lot, and then you should probably have a decent team by then, and you will have tried out on Showdown, and
Yeah, that
it's possible.
advantage would a little bit be void. But
To get to Worlds, you need to get championship points, which means that you're playing in nationals
PCs,
and
yeah,
regionals.
PCs too.
And public, or just local area cups, which are hosted year
Premier
round. Like
Challengers.
there's already VGC 2017 going on, which is
Yeah,
awkward because it's not
I,
2017. It's been happening like a month ago, which
yeah,
is
I read
weird.
about the
Um,
San Jose tournament, yeah, but I mean,
Fuck Celesteela.
I just honestly think that Nintendo needs to get better like hack checks because I'm pretty sure it's possible.
it should be possible, but as long as it's,
I don't think it should be. It's not. I don't think it is.
I
I
mean,
mean,
like the if you look at the bytes, like the specific bytes of the data, I'm pretty sure you can. Like, look how it's
Well, no,
edited.
because how hacks work is that they edit the data, so it's not
Yeah,
just
so you
like
can see
telling
if
it to
it's
put it in.
edited.
So the thing is that how it currently is, I believe they could. However, once they improve their hack checking, the code junkies or whatever they're called, that do power saves, as well as people whoever runs PK hacks, are likely to edit their hacking devices to make it to make it more accurate of replication. Because if you put in the perfect bytes, it's not gonna be possible because they're actually editing save data. So it's not possible to completely prevent it. That's the problem. Same thing like that was my argument before with whatchamacallit, with if you have physical access to both the cart to the data, you can't stop people from editing it.
Yeah, it's basically like hacking is they'll just adapt.
Well, that was a lot of fun actually. I don't think the text chat went very well because that ended up being a debate about morals more than it was a debate about the topic. But I think the voice chat went very well. I wish there were more people. We'll likely do it again at some point if we find an interesting topic. To actually like that it has a dichotomy.
yeah, I think that would be quite fun to do as well because I actually had fun during this debate, and I think it was also quite interesting. So I would definitely like
But at
to.
least
Oh, Smogon
both
versus
both of
Battlespot singles.
that's fuck you. First of all, that's completely relative. There is no objectively better game mode. That's like saying Dota versus League of Legends.
Yeah, let's do that.
League.
fuck you guys. I'm not getting to that cesspool. Thanks everyone for coming. If you want to follow me, I have Discord. Go fucking figure. And we have, and I have a Twitter. I appreciate everyone for coming. Everyone that participated, I appreciate that a lot. It was interesting. I think that we'll do it more eventually. This will also be going up on YouTube. So hi YouTube. If you guys want to like it, if you liked it, again. That's something you should be doing in general. And comment down what your opinions are, what you think, and everyone try to keep it as little emotion as possible. Just like the rules in the debate. No emotion. Try to keep it as emotionless as possible so that actual thought happens rather than writing on anger, and people become less staunch on their opinions.